This is Tristan at Hipcooks in West Los Angeles, and today I'm going to show you how to make waffles. Okay, I have all my ingredients for waffles here and some extra tools. So one might start to think that making waffles is a little more complicated than pancakes or than frozen waffles, and it is, but it'll be worth it. So what makes waffle batter different? It has a lot more butter in it. Yum, yum, yum. The more butter you put in, the crispier and lighter your waffles are going to be. So if you're looking to make a lower fat waffle, which is great, it will be lower in fat, but it might not be as light and crispy and delicious. That's okay. Another difference is when we're working with our eggs, we have 3 eggs for our waffle recipe. I'm going to separate the yolks from the whites and blend the whites in my handy dandy blender here. You can use a hand blender if you want, or whisk it up really hard to make those whites nice and fluffy, and that will add to the fluffiness of the waffle. So these are fabulous waffles. Let's get going. I have my 8 tablespoons of butter that's melted here, and it's had a chance to cool off a little bit. One of the first things I want to do though is mix my dry ingredients. So in this little bowl, 2 cups of white unbleached flour, 1/4 cup of brown sugar. You can use white sugar if you want. I always love brown sugar, so I tend to use that more often. And this is 1½ teaspoons of baking powder into the bowl, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay, let's get those mixed up with my fork. And it's always a good idea to mix up your dry ingredients when you're baking, when you're making waffles, whatever it may be, to work out some of the clumps, especially the clumps in the baking soda. And since I'm using buttermilk today, we need baking soda. If you choose to just use milk, you'd leave out the baking soda because we won't need that reaction. All right. Got that nice and mixed up. Very good, off to the side. In my other bowl, I want to mix the wet ingredients. So first, let's go ahead and separate the 3 eggs. Your handy dandy egg separator, which is your lovely, lovely hand. And yolks will just plop right into that bowl. You don't want any egg yolk in the egg white because that will prevent it from getting light and fluffy. That fat that's in the yolk will weigh down the light fluffiness of the whites, and you won't get fluffy. You'll get heavy. So don't let that egg yolk get into the whites. If you have extra whites with the egg yolk, that's no problem. Just try and get off as much as you can. Okay, into that bowl. Wipe my hands. All right. So these I can now just put into the blender, and we will get those whisked up momentarily. In with the 3 egg yolks are 2 cups of buttermilk, I have some liquid vanilla, which is awesome because you can see the little vanilla beans in there. So just about 1 teaspoon. If you don't have the vanilla bean paste, you can just use your regular vanilla bean extract, and that's 1 teaspoon. And then my 8 tablespoons of butter that's been cooled a little bit. I'm going to mix in this first, just so we don't get any curdled eggs. Get that milk and eggs mixed up a bit, and then we can stream in the butter for the light, fluffy waffles that you guys are going to love. Okay. So we've got our whites and our dry. Let's get this mixed in here. Time to use a spoon or spatula, don't need the whisk. Okay. So we're almost done. We might have a couple chunks in here, that's okay. But we can see that we have nice, light, fluffy batter, even without having put in the egg whites yet, which are gonna make it super fluffy. Okay. That's all nice and mixed up. All right, good. So the egg whites. Turn those on. We don't want dry egg whites. We just want pretty stiff. Okay, that was about a minute, I guess. Really depends on how many egg whites you have in there to determine how long it takes. But this is what you want them to look like. So they're not super glossy, they're still a little bit wet looking, that's what we want, but they're nice and fluffy, and that will add the fluffiness to our waffles, even more fluffiness. Okay. Scrape all those in there. Actually, a little first. Just put a little bit in. Go ahead and put it all in. Okay, so when we fold, watch when I fold. I'm not going like this. That will deflate the white. So when you fold, get your spatula down at the bottom and then flip and kind of cut through the batter, scrape the bottom and flip. Cut through the bottom, flip. Cut, scrape, flip. Cut, scrape, flip. Cut, scrape, flip. Turn the bowl. And this way you can keep those whites nice and fluffy. So this is ready for the waffle iron. Okay, we are ready to make our waffles. We have our hot griddle here. My old-fashioned good old griddle. I tend to like square waffles, so we can see it's smoking, it's hot. I want to give that time to do that. A little bit of spray. And with my ladle, scoop out some of that batter. Let's start with about half a cup. It's really going to depend on your waffle maker how much batter you need. Start in the middle and put some around the edges of it. It will get pushed down and fluff out, so don't cover it completely. Let's start with that. We might have some overflow, but that's fun. All right. And that will take about 3 to 5 minutes. My waffle iron has a light, so when that light goes off, that'll be a good indicator. But also, you should be able to know that they're done. Lift this up, and the waffle will separate easily from the iron. So we'll give that a couple of minutes. Alrighty, I gave the waffle about 3 minutes, and then I was able to lift it up. I want to look for the color. When I first lifted it up, it wasn't quite as golden brown as I wanted it, so I let it cook a little bit longer. But it's looking just like I want it to look. This waffle, I can see right in the corners, I didn't put quite enough batter to cover, but that's okay. On the next round, I just put in a little bit more batter, if I even care. But I can see the butter seeping through, which is yummy and good. They're nice and light and fluffy, and because of that butter, I have that extra crunchiness and richness. So that is my waffle, and I would serve it. I personally like sour cream on my waffles and maple syrup. Alrighty. And that is how to make waffles.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see me prepare any other recipes, please send an email to request@mahalo.com, and in the meantime, check out our other videos.